estimating. How do you do it? How do you estimate in Agile? That's the question I'm going to answer for you today. Hi, my name is Tim McDermott. I'm a software development project manager living here in Tampa, Florida. I'm standing in front of GameStop. Why in front of GameStop? I'm going to give you some different ways of estimating in Agile. One of them is called planning poker. Poker is a game. So I chose GameStop to be my backdrop. You do have to estimate in Agile. Just because it's not waterfall anymore, you still need estimates. You're just not estimating time to completion. You're just estimating as a way of kind of helping you prioritize your user stories. All right, so I want to go over 3 different methods. So first I'll talk about planning poker. You use planning poker to estimate your stories. Another is relative estimating. And the third I'll call affinity grouping. That's kind of like t-shirt size of your stories. With planning poker, each person on the development team gets a set of cards. The cards have numbers on them. The numbers are the Fibonacci sequence of numbers. So everybody now has their own deck of cards. The product owner will start with presenting the first user story. And then each person, after presenting the user story, each person of the dev team will vote. They will assign a certain number of on the degree of difficulty and complexity and the size of the user story. They'll vote. Each person gets a vote by presenting their card. If everybody gives the story the same number, then that's the number. That's the estimate for that card. Otherwise, the person with the lowest and the person with the highest card, they get to each speak in turn for a limited number of minutes. And then after that discussion, the vote is held again on that user story. And this process goes over and over again until the number converges for that user story. When they converge on a number, that's the number for that card, for that story, and you move on to the next card. That's planning poker. The next technique I'll call relative estimating. It's just so the product owner will present the user story, the first user story, and then place that, say, up on the wall, a sticky note. And then he'll present the second user story. And then the team will decide, is that user story more complicated or less complicated than the first user story. If it's less complicated, it goes below the first user story. If it's more complicated, it goes above the first user story. And then the product owner would present the next user story. And after that presentation, the group would decide, does it go at the bottom of the list, or does it go between user story 1 and 2, or does it go above user story number 1? And you just repeat that process over with each individual user story, and at the end of the last user story, you have your list of the rankings, the relative estimates of the independent user stories. And those are your estimates. The next way of estimating is affinity grouping. Affinity grouping, a good way to explain that is to think about t-shirt sizes. You could use t-shirt sizes as your affinity groups, like extra large, medium, and small. And then you just go through each user story and then place them in that particular group, the small, medium, large, extra large group. And then when you're done, the last user story, you're done. And that's another way of estimating your user story. Now, there are lots of different techniques for estimating user stories. Research them online. Notice none of them have anything to do with hours. Estimating the number of hours to completion for a user story is just ridiculous. It's a waste of time. You're never going to get the right answer anyway. So just having these relative ideas of how they compare with each other is easier to do, and it's quicker to implement, and it's for agile projects, it's a great value. More value to do that than to have to try to get accurate time estimates.